how to get through those times where you're feeling imperfect, like you're feeling like you're just trying to do your best as a Christian. You really want to excel in Christ, but, well, it's just not working out for you. You're just having a hard time. How do you get through that? Because welcome to the club. We all have those stretches where we feel imperfect, like we're not making progress, and life is really going to be hard. And sometimes it is. Now, anytime you have a comment, just pause the video, go ahead and put it below, because I'd love to hear from you and see what you have to say along this line. Now, what I do personally, when I fall flat on my face, and yeah, I hate to shock you, but sometimes the preacher falls, boom, flat on his face. One of the things I like to do is just sit down and remind myself about Peter. Because Peter was certainly not absolute perfect disciple. Now, Peter's pretty awesome. He'll rank in the top 10 with just about any Bible student. He's certainly on my top 10 list, but he wasn't perfect. But he stumbled his way to maturity in this position. Now, of course, he did the thing on the water where his faith failed and he about drowned. He did the thing about denying Christ 3 times, and we all know those stories. But the one that a lot of people don't know is over here in Galatians 2:11, because this is long after Christ has been resurrected and gone back to heaven, and Peter's still having trouble, and he's still stumbling around. And in Galatians 2:11, the Apostle Paul calls Peter on the carpet, so to speak, to straighten Peter out because Peter was playing the hypocrite. Now, the reason I like that is because it reminds me, look, if Peter was not perfect, even after all of those years, then why am I going to beat myself up for not being perfect? Yes, I want to be my best, and I don't want to simply excuse problems as though they weren't important, but I don't want to beat myself up where I can't travel any further. Now, another one I like a lot, and if you've been following these videos, you know James 3:2 by now. That's where he says we stumble in many things. To put it simple, folks, there's no such thing as a perfect Christian. Now again, don't get too casual with sin and dismiss it. That's going too far the other way. Keep trying, keep aiming, keep being the best you can be. But when you miss the target, you go, okay, I wanted to hit the bullseye. I was aiming for the bullseye, but I missed it. I missed the mark, which is the basic definition of sin. But I'm going to do better next time. I'm going to figure out what I did wrong. I'm going to practice. I'm going to study. I'm going to be better. And I may still stumble, but I'm going to stumble a little bit less. Get the idea? Sometimes I use the analogy of a basketball player at the free throw line. His aim is to put everyone through the hoop, right? Does he have a 100% record? Absolutely not. Does he shoot for 100%? Absolutely. That's the way it works. Now, number 3, and this one's a little bit of a paradox perhaps, but I can use my mistakes as a tool to help other people. It's over in James chapter 5 and verse 16 where he says, confess your trespasses one to another. And do use a little discretion here, but there is a time to get up alongside of a brother who is stumbling and having a hard time and looking at that person and going, look, brother, it's okay. Come on. I've done the same thing. I've done it a dozen times. Get back up and keep going. It gets better. It gets easier when you keep going. But if you sit down and quit, well, you've already lost. You know the old saying, winners never quit and quitters never win. So you have that. Now, number 4, if God could only use perfect people, and sometimes people get this crazy idea in their head, well, I have to be perfect for God to use me. Oh, no. That's not the way this works. God doesn't use only perfect people. If God could only use perfect people, then there would only have been one person he could have ever used in the entire history of humanity, and that would have been Christ. God uses imperfect people, and all of our Bible heroes, all those other folks that you read about, not a single one of them were perfect. In fact, if you'll do a little internet research, you'll find a long list of all the flaws of all those wonderful Bible heroes because God uses imperfect people. And then last, but not least, Satan's lie. Be careful here. Do not buy the lie that if you're not a perfect Christian, you're not a good Christian. No one bats 1,000. No one does it perfectly. Let me say that again. No one does it perfectly. When you mess up, just go, well, I'm like everybody else. When you mess up, you say, well, I'm just like Peter. Or you can think of all the Bible heroes of the past. I'm just like David, or I'm just like Samson, or I'm just like Abraham. I'm not perfect either. But you know, God's willing to use me. And if God's willing to use me, then I'm willing to stay in His service. That's how you overcome those feelings of failure. I'm not good enough, going through a hard time, going through a drought, and we all do, and we just hang in there and we keep pressing it forward. Now again, I understand that could stir up some questions. You may have some comments or tips that you would like to add. Go ahead and put your own tips below. That'll help us and others out. And I know we can't change the entire world, but I do know that together we can make a difference. Have a great day.